Breaking news, another terrorist attack on Israel. It's in Jerusalem. 2 men thought to be members of Hamas jumped out of a car and started shooting at people at a bus stop. Civilians, of course. 2 women killed by these heroes and a man in his 70s as well, according to the Times of Israel, and potentially as many as 9 others injured. That is what Israel is fighting, that kind of bloodlust. Anyone dead will do, as long as they're Jewish. But to what I was going to talk about, which is related. There's a poem about a drunk who's singing there in the gutter with a pig. And it ends like this, a woman yelling at them. You can tell a man who boozes by the company he chooses. At that, the pig got up and walked away. And I actually say to good people of the left, get up and walk away. Walk away from these disgusting pro-Palestinian protests that are now just fronts for the most wicked Jew hatred. Just walk away. Now, forgive the language, but look at these bastards. I mean, look at who you are giving cover to, that you are licensing. Last night, for instance, we have here in this country visiting Israelis on a delegation to beg for our help. They are mothers and sisters and brothers of Jews taken hostage or even killed nearly 8 weeks ago by Hamas terrorists. But when they last night went back to their Melbourne hotel, pro-Palestinian ratbags followed them inside to intimidate these traumatised people. Now, one of the Jews they targeted said the group actually had to hide. He said, I didn't think something like that would happen in Australia. But by God, we've changed. I mean, the shame of it. I'm seeing now overseas reports of this incident after they've already seen a mob of Jew haters outside Sydney Opera House saying, gas the Jews. And now this, following Jews into a Melbourne hotel to do what? What a sick puppy you'd have to be to do that to these people who've suffered such a loss already. Whatever side of the debate you are, this is a disgrace. How lacking in compassion, how tribal and thuggish. And I think the Prime Minister today said it very well.
What we saw last night in Melbourne at a hotel in Docklands goes beyond the right of people to peacefully protest in our democratic country. Why people would make the conscious decision to hold a protest where the families of these people were staying is beyond my comprehension. Beyond my comprehension and beyond contempt. What we are seeing is humanity just cast aside.
This kind of stuff we're seeing again and again, and from only one side of the debate. I think it's not an accident either, but a characteristic. Well, you take this Greens MP, Gabriel De Vietri, who actually wore a Palestinian keffiyeh to a Melbourne function run by Jews who are again pleading for the release of the hostages. It's unbelievable. I mean, what contempt for the grief of the Jews to come up to them in the colours of terrorists who slaughtered and enslaved their loved ones. What is going through your tiny mind? Now, De Vietri says, well, I did take it off when I got inside. But she was wearing that scarf again in Parliament today, flaunting it in front of a Jewish MP, David Southwick. Now, the Greens are the people in the gutter here. Walk away. Get up and walk away from them. In Canberra, the Greens, of course, voted against condemning Hamas, even against condemning Hamas, the terrorist group which runs Gaza, which slaughtered 1,200 Jews on October 7, which committed mass rape against the women, beheaded men, took about 240 hostages, including this mother and her 2 children, one just 10 months old. And now Hamas is telling us, oh, dear me, they died last week. Hamas blames Israeli bombs. that really, with its record, could just as easily slit their throats. And wasn't it telling us just, 2 days ago that, oh, sorry, we actually sold them, we actually passed them on to another terrorist group. Now they're dead. Well, walk away from them. Walk away from the Greens. Walk away from the protests where the crowds are being coached into chanting for the destruction of all Israel. From the river to the sea goes the chant. And what of the Jews then?
From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea!
Walk away from them all. Walk away from the protesters now, even in our cities, are tagging Jewish homes. Kill the Jews. Jews live here. Or putting graffiti on businesses they think are too close to Israel and the Jews. This is one of the barbarians with a, look at that, cross through the Jewish Star of David. I mean, walk away from the Jew haters who now even paste anti-Israel stickers on food dips made and sold by Jews. I mean, just walk away from these people. I mean, how can you stand in a crowd that produces this kind of stuff, that encourages this kind of stuff, and makes Australia look too much like Germany was under the Nazis in 1933 and after? Just walk away. And I wonder if these people, like the sinister Greens, you know, showing off their own Palestinian scarves, or the silly little actors at the Sydney Theatre Company who ambush their audience, Jews in the audience too, with their own scarves at a curtain call on the weekend. I wonder if they actually understand, these people, the brutality, the Palestinians running the territories that they are so nobly defending, like Gaza, like the West Bank. Now you take the last prisoner swap in this now 6-day truce, 7 it'll be, in the war in Gaza. Hamas releasing a few more hostages, women and children, in exchange for Palestinian prisoners, including terrorists. Now Hamas, even after making this deal, made their last batch of hostages walk through a mob in Gaza that was screaming abuse before they got to their ambulance. What kind of people would do that kind of thing? And in the West Bank, the other day, there should have been more reports about this. Palestinians cheering as terrorists there murdered, and warning, this is distressing, right? We've blurred some of it, but it's distressing. They hanged these 2 guys upside down, 2 men that they accused of helping Israel to fight a terrorist group that actually dominates a former refugee camp there. Allah, 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 and then they cut off the legs of one of those guys? I mean, seriously? There is such a sick culture at work there. Can you imagine Israelis doing something like that and posting the footage up to brag about it? Can you? There is now a sick culture here too. What are the protesters here really supporting? Look at it. Now that's those progressives, so-called, who are marching in these crowds that are sort of licensing what we're seeing here. I asked the school children, what are you doing? You see the behaviour now that these Palestinian protests are encouraging here. The threats, the screams of abuse, the physical attacks now on Jews, the murder threats, the in-your-face vandalism, the intimidation, hunting Jews through hotels now. What are you doing? What are you doing? Walk away. Leave all that in the gutter with the Greens, with the haters, with the bullies, and with these apologists for terror. Just walk away.